Hi folks, Toad here with Visordown.com, and we are in beautiful Girona for the launch of the new 2020 Kawasaki Z650. So it's less of a new bike, it's a bit of a tweak over last year. For 2020, this machine has got a Euro 5 compliant engine. It's got a lovely TFT dash, and we've had a little bit of a visual makeover to bring it in line with the rest of the Kawasaki Z family. So before I go through anything else, let's have a look at some riding footage. So there we have it. After 2 days riding Kawasaki's new Z650 in the roads around Catalonia, we're back at the hotel, and it's been quite an entertaining launch, I've got to say. I'm really surprised by this bike, mainly around the engine. It's such a tractable unit, and it's used in quite a few different models of Kawasaki, and in some of the models, Vulcan S, for example, it feels quite laboured and a little bit lazy and a little bit laborious, but in this it feels really fizzy and really poppy and really energetic, which is a very good thing for me. I'm going to go through the bike's specs in a little bit more detail because we haven't covered that already. So just giving it a quick overview, what we're looking at here is a 6,649 pounds motorcycle. That's if you go for the Kawasaki green version that you can see on your screen right now. If you opt for either of the other two colours, which there's this option, which is the dark sort of metallic black, and you've also got the white option as well, which looks proper nice in the flesh. They are £6,749. PCP deals can be had, we'll put a link to those in the description below. So new for this year, we've got updated styling, which is a stronger Tsugomi presence, as Kawasaki have called it. It basically brings the bike in line with the rest of the Kawasaki range. It's got a kind of a ZH2 inspired front end makeover to it. We've also got a new TFT dash, which is the same as the one on the Z900, if maybe slightly smaller. I'll have to double check on that, but it is one of the clearest, easiest to read and most under complicated dashes that you could get. Everything's exactly where you need it, and you can always read it whether you're in a tunnel, direct sunlight, or at night. It's proper good. We've also got Bluetooth connectivity with this bike, so you can hook it up to the Rideology app and you can download stats about your trip, lean angle, maximum speed, average speed. It'll also tell you stats about the bike, how much fuel's left, what the mileage is, whether or not the battery's charging and stuff like that. So that's quite a cool feature, and I like the fact that it's already all in the bike. You don't have to go and buy an extra Bluetooth module, which is always a little bit shitty. Also, we've got updated Dunlop Sport Max Road Sport 2 tyres. They're the same sort of compound and carcass that are fitted to the Z900. On that, they felt a little bit as if they were easily overpowered. On this, they feel absolutely fine because it's got less power than the Z9. It's got much more manageable torque curve than the Z9. It's less peaky. So the tyres actually on this feel more than up to the job, whereas on the Z9, they sometimes felt a little bit like they were sort of a duck out of water, so to speak. Just going to go through the engine. So we've got an 8-valve parallel twin, liquid cooled. I mean, it's been around for quite a long time. It's probably its biggest overhaul for quite a long time, in that Kawasaki have now made it Euro 5 compliant. So they've got a new intake, new exhaust. They've also got a new silencer. As I said at the beginning of this piece, it's extremely tractable and very user-friendly. It's got 67 brake horsepower, which puts it right in that category where it's really good to, you can get it in an A2 compliant version, ride it around on an A2 license, and then complete your training, de-restrict it, and you've got a full power 67 horsepower bike. Power comes in at 8,000 RPM, and it will rev out till about 10.5 RPM. It does love to rev. Parallel twins sometimes can feel a little bit boring, but this doesn't. It feels really eager. It feels really fizzy. It's a tiny bit vibey on long distances, especially if you're cruising on the motorway at sort of 75, 85 miles an hour. But other than that, it's just a really enjoyable, really nice unit to use. It is quite torquey, as parallel twins always are. So it's good for if you're into doing some wheelies and so on and so forth. It's got no traction control, no riding mode, so you don't have to bugger about with those and turn stuff off if you do want to pop a wheelie or do a burnout, which is good. So we've got 41mm right way up forks with no adjustability, and there is a horizontal backlink rear shock that's it's the only adjustability on there is mechanical preload adjustment. If I'm being completely honest, when we were pushing on yesterday and earlier on today when we were riding the bike, sometimes feels a little bit underdamped, slightly wallowy. If you really start to push on, it probably wouldn't be a problem for 85 to 90% of riders, but I did find that it's a little bit sort of bouncy in some of the corners, especially on some of the uneven roads that we were riding. Other than that, around town and at normal riding speeds, it feels really, really plush and very, very comfortable, and that's kind of thanks to the fact that it is quite softly sprung. Does it need adjustability on the suspension? It'd be nice to be able to dial in or dial out some of that sort of bouncy reload and up the damping a little bit, but to be honest with you, if they start doing that, then it's going to be pushing the price point of the bike up, and this is a bike that is designed to be good value for money, which I think it is. Just going to go through the braking system on this now. So it's really, really odd because the Nissan caliper setup that this bike has got, those brakes have been around since before Cindy Crawford was fit. But on this, they just feel excellent. They've got loads and loads of bite, like super, super powerful. They're better than some of the braking setups on some much more powerful, much more high-end and much more expensive sports bikes that I've ridden. You've got loads and loads of feel through the lever. Hasn't got cornering ABS, it's just got standard 2-channel ABS system on there. You can switch it off through the dash, or you do a big burnout and it just turns itself off. And it's not a worry when you turn the ABS off, it doesn't feel like it's going to catch you out, because the feel through the lever is so good that you can always actuate exactly the right amount of pressure through the lever and through the front brake when you're braking on slippery surfaces or trail braking into corners. So I was really, really impressed with the braking system on the bike. It is very, very good. The rear brake as well has got the same sort of strength and the same sort of power and bite, which is excellent, because you tuck it into a corner. If you just need to tighten the line a little bit, you can just dab the rear brake just very, very lightly, and it will just help to pull the bike around the corner. And when you low speed control U-turns around town and so on and so forth, it was really, really handy to have a good brake, which is, I like a really strong brake, a really strong rear brake, because I use it quite a lot. And sometimes on a bike you can rest your foot on the rear brake lever and not even know that it's doing anything, and on this you definitely feel it. Just another one on the brakes there, 300mm single discs up front, and there's a 240mm one at the rear. Aside from the slightly underdamped feeling, it is 188 kilograms, so it's quite light for a full-size bike, which it is a full-size bike. And it just makes the bike really, really quick to turn, and it's a really nice, pleasurable machine. They always pick good roads for launches like this, especially for nakeds such as this. They pick a road with lots of switchbacks, lots of hairpins, riding up over mountains, and it just really played to the strengths of the bike. You can flip it from side to side. It's not a physical exertion to move it, it's just telepathy. You just think about moving the bike from one side to the other, and it will just fall into corners. And it's got it's fast to turn, but it feels very controlled. It feels very, very measured. The only real limiting factor, as with a lot of bikes, is the peg height, which you can grind the pegs out on it, and that's about all the lean that you've got. You can't actually get any further. It's quite narrow. The seat height's good. I'm short ass, I'm 5'7", and I can get both feet down on the floor on this. If you're a little bit taller than me, you might find that this is a little bit cramped because the seat to peg distance is quite low. Kawasaki have thought about you though, because they've actually got a higher seat version which knocks a couple of centimetres onto the seat, and it completely transforms the riding position, makes the bike feel much more spacious, much more roomy, and it also cants the seat forward a tiny bit, so you kind of sat over the front end a bit more, which just makes it feel a little bit sportier and a little bit more purposeful. One of the standout features of the Z650 and of the Z900, which we rode at this hotel before Christmas, is the TFT dash. I still lament that it's probably one of the best on the market. It's got everything that you need. It's not overcomplicated. It's clearly laid out, and it's got none of those silly things where you can flip the dash and change the style or anything like that. It is what it is, but it just gives you everything that you need in a really easy to read and well laid out style. You can read it in direct sunlight, nighttime, going through tunnels. Absolutely love the dash on this, and other manufacturers should probably get a look at it and take note, because as far as I'm concerned, if you want a thin film transistor, that's the way to do it. What do we like about the Z650? I just mentioned it, but I think the dash is great. Riding comfort in terms of the ergonomics for me are very good, and I really like the way that this thing turns in corners and the way that you can manhandle it and just really rag the thing about by the scruff of the neck. It's thoroughly rewarding. What don't I like about the Z9? I wouldn't mind a riding mode, that would be quite nice. And also the only other thing that I really found a little bit frustrating was the Rideology app that you can use to download and to track your ride and to get all the specs and stats of the ride that you've just done. You have to keep the app open and your phone unlocked for the tracking to work. So if you lock your phone, it will disconnect it. It means that really that is really handy if you're going to do longer rides, if you've got like a quad lock system and an extra USB where you can keep charging your phone. Otherwise it will deplete your phone's battery quite quickly, especially if you've got a really old iPhone like me. So onto the verdict. I've ridden pretty much all of the A2 licensed contenders out there, and by that I mean the bikes that are easily converted to a 47 brake horsepower output and then unrestricted when you pass it. And sometimes they play too much to the fact that they're going to have new riders on the bikes, and I don't think you need to pander to people that much anymore. I think people are pretty sensible, and the amount of A2 riders that we need to get onto bikes, we need to make these bikes more exciting and we need to make them more enjoyable to ride. That's exactly what Kawasaki have done with this bike. They've made it a complete all-round A2 licensed bike. You could tour on it if you wanted to. There's a range of accessories that Kawasaki offer that enable you to do that. You could even take the thing on a track day or just go scratching down your favourite B-road. I think it is probably now, after riding it on this launch, my favourite A2 licensed bike on the market. And if you like what you see, get yourself to a Kawasaki dealer, give it a test ride. There'll be a full review on Visordown.com. Thank you very much for your time.